Pete Sousa is kind enough as he travels the country to hop on with us now. And Pete has landed in the land of Birmingham. He's picked up like a smoothie.
No, it's Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. What is and Pete, what I'd like to do is also ask some of the people at the Chick-fil-A to come on, and maybe even some of the workers there. Great to be with you. You never know where you'll find Pete. Pete's in Birmingham, getting ready to call a basketball tournament, and he'll do a great job on that. In fact, I was already going to watch it because I've got one team that one of the coaches is a great buddy of mine. Yeah, if you do get a Jacobs game, and they've had a struggle this year, please tell him, you and I are buddies, because he's a great friend, and he and I are on a group text. Although when they keep losing, I can't really get on there and make jokes, because then you got to wait a day or two before you can do jokes and stuff. What's your go-to at the Chick-fil-A, by the way?
Just a number one. The number one, it's just simple. I know what I want. No sauces. You can always eat it on the go. And I try not to supersize it. I try to just keep it in the fairway. Hey, how come you can? I'm really curious. How come you can't sleep? What's going on?
Oh, okay. So, my soon to be 103-year-old grandmother had a new pacemaker put in. I don't think normally people this old, they just are like, well, if she's run out of battery, we don't really, she's kind of expired, right? And this grandmother I have just continues to soldier on. One doctor told us at age 90 when she had breast cancer, it was like, no, if it were my mom, I wouldn't do anything about it. We're like, well, this is the tank. So we fought it, and she fought it. And she's still here. And anyway. Right. So I spent the night at the hospital last night. And to say she was agitated is putting it mildly. She was not having a great night, which caused me to not have a great night. So I was staying with my grandmother overnight so my mom could be with other family members and stuff like that. And then the night before, my daughter was getting up to go to spring break trip, and they were leaving at 4:30 in the morning to go to Florida. And so I probably slept from 2 a.m. till 4:30 to get up and get her gone.
Gotcha.
So how it has not.
Did she get? I just got a new. I actually had a malfunction with my pacemaker recently, and they had to take it out and put a new one in. This is this is January. They almost thought about not putting mine in. So good on your grandmother.
How long have you had that one?
I got it in 2021.
Okay.
And it went into a default mode. It went into safe mode. Something triggered it. Something happened. And I was going for a jog. This is a true story. I've never told this. I was going for a jog in Provo the day of the game, and it shocked me to the point where I hit the deck.
Oh,
I got up and it shocked me again.
Oh, my.
And so I was kind of dazed and confused. I went back to the hotel. I sat down. I was like, all right, because I'm an idiot. I was like, I'm going to call this game. And the moment I get back to Texas, I'm going to go to the pacemaker clinic. And I did. And they told me that it had gone into safety mode, that Boston Scientific. So they immediately took it out. Yeah.
Buddy, I think you're so fortunate that.
Oh, man.
Think about if it had happened during the broadcast or something.
Well, it was because I was jogging. And
it was exercise induced. Yeah.
It had stopped it. It had the safety mode, and then we'll get to sports, I promise. The safety mode put my heartbeats per minute down to 150. So once I got around 150, boom, it shocked me. So now I'm back to normal, whatever that is.
Yeah. Okay. And what's weird to me is most technology has gotten better and better over the years. I would think they would make a pacemaker that would last 20 years, but they still seem like after about, 8 to 10, you need a replacement, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A new battery or something like that. Yeah.
I had hoped we would kind of talk pacemakers today. By the way, so funny that you're doing this tournament. I was talking to Kevin Connors earlier today. We were trying to figure out how he could be on the show because he's doing the Big 12 tournament. And And by the way, in ESPN's infinite wisdom, he's gonna, he usually does the whole thing, right? And is like
Yeah.
the on-site host or whatever. And after Thursday's games, they're packing him up and flying him back to Bristol, and then they'll send in game day. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
It's
there's been a
so,
lot. The Big 12 being so good this year has changed some things at ESPN because
okay.
game day is going to be there. There was like a ripple effect from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Connors even said it. I watched them come on the air at halftime because I watched the Baylor game. And, you know, I know it's a Big 12 broadcast and there's a partnership with ESPN. But Kevin Connors, I see as kind of like diplomatic, but still elite in the ESPN orbit. And the first thing he says is, this is the best conference in college basketball. No question, which I was like,
Yeah.
good on him.
Well, Baylor today loses to Arizona State. They did the thing where they got it to 3 with about 5-6 minutes left and caused some excitement and then faded down the stretch and then had one of those, you know, what they do better than any team in America is about with like a minute 42 left down by 10, they'll put one of those wild things together, but it was not enough to overcome. And Pete, I know you were flying, so I'll just tell you, this season has mercifully come to an end. My preference would be say no to the NIT. Scott doesn't always operate like that, and Scott is an extremely gracious person, and he might see the NIT as a way to try to keep the guys together a little bit longer. I don't know, but I'm really hoping.
I do not think they will go to the NIT. And I love the NIT. I'll call in. I mean, sorry, I just got a phone call here, but you can hear me, right?
Yeah, you're good.
I love the NIT, but I don't think Baylor's going to do it. I just don't think. I think that they'll opt for one of those like the Crown, and you know, and then it comes down to, you know, what's Tunde going to do? What's Cameron Carr going to do? Like, you know, there's still an outside pot. They're really trying to keep Cam Carr. And I think there's a dialogue there. I mean, I know if he were to come back, he would go to Baylor. I couldn't imagine anywhere else he would go. And the first round is so loaded that maybe it would behoove him. And especially even the way he played today and the way I had the game on Saturday, as you well know, 2021 national championship, folks.
It's okay. Nobody ever knew but me. Yeah.
And everybody else. But I feel like they're talking to Cam Carr about coming back. And although that might be a long shot, I think that would be amazing if they could get him to stay. But there is a conversation there that says, hey man, you know, you stick with us. I mean, his draft stock improved incredibly this year under Scott Drew. You know, they're still going to have 2 guys go in the first round if he and Tunde both go into the draft. So they're doing something right over there.
I mean, you know, you say you think for sure he would come back to Baylor. I think after what happened to Rob Wright, I think we'd be wrong to assume anything. I mean, I think, you know, if I don't know what his agent's like, but I mean, the BYUs of the world would come in and pay him enormous money. So I do think Baylor's going to have to make sure they take care of him, and I think they will. I think they certainly, as you noted, have the inside track. I find it interesting that Tunde, and y'all noted it the other day, some of these draft things he's showing up at like late in the draft and late in the first round. I mean, it would be unbelievable to have those guys back. But separate of that, and I think they'll probably lose Tunde to the draft for sure. They have got to get the evaluation process right, Pete. And the one thing, and I don't know if Cam's brought this up or what you've heard, but the one thing I can tell you is the person they're going after to help them with the evaluation process and would help them as a coach on the bench is a big-time guy. And I think and I'm not talking about Jerome Tang or anything like that. I think it would help. Baylor has now had 2 years of whiffing on 2 major NIL guys, and they have got to get this right. And,
I think
ultimately,
I think you're spot on. I think that, it might be like Back to the Future in a sense where the championship team in 2021, they didn't have a guy in that class, or they didn't have a player on the team who was ranked higher than 50 in their class, right? Like, as far as like rankings are concerned. And, those are the kind of guys that like you can build a program with that will stay 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And even in today's college basketball, I think that you can still find a group of guys and build a program, truthfully, with like 3-star guys. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that we could see Baylor return to that. And I think that could be the winning formula because and I know this from working closely with King McClure, and King told me this, I think 2 years ago, but he brought up the acronym JOY, Jesus, others, yourself. And he's like, I haven't, that is something that the program and that Baylor had so much success that based upon that mindset and great players, right? But there is a way to fuse the two of them together. And I know that they want to do that, but it's just kind of figuring, and even like, I talked to a guy on my show today from Kansas City, right? Harold Kuntz, he's a sports guy there. And we were talking a lot about Kansas basketball. And it reminded me of something I went over earlier this year when I called a Kansas game. Bill Self was like, man, like he whiffed on portal guys, and finally this year he got it right with Melvin Council and Trey White. And he's like almost been re-energized, and so has the team. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's no debating the fact that like something has to get fixed here. And is it talent evaluation? Is it going back to what I just talked about, that type of blueprint? Can you do it in today's college basketball? There are certain people who I talk to around the game who know a lot, who think you still can at a power 4 or 5 level, whatever the heck you call it now.
Yeah. I think what we have to do is call this year what it was.
Yeah.
And not call it an aberration, call it a disaster. By Baylor standards,
I would not call it a disaster.
Oh, it was a disaster. It was
a disaster. Is like off the court stuff. I don't know.
No. I've seen that. I'm just talking about on the court.
Yeah,
I can show you a disaster, but from a Baylor basketball program, I mean, by their standards, this was a very embarrassing season. And I was happy to see it come to an end. What is the Crown? I don't even know I didn't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so it's a tournament. It's a tournament in Las Vegas. It's from, I think, April 1st to the 4th or 5th. Maybe it's longer than that, but it's slotted. I think Fox puts it on with some group in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money involved for the players. If you win the tournament, you you win money. And the way that the Crown works is they do it. It's like power conference teams. And like the first 2 that don't make it get an invite. And if they were declined, then they go down the list. That's how I remember.
Yeah. I think I would just turn everything down is the way I would do this. Hey, Pete.
Well, in today's college basketball, to your point, like when I was a kid growing up, I can remember, Villanova won the NIT in 1994. Why was that a big deal? Because they brought back like 9 of those guys, and it's a chance for those guys to keep playing together and to experience success together. Now it's like, we just won the NIT. Everybody goes their separate ways. So
you're right.
I think some of the intrigue and stuff you can build on is gone.
Scott had a great NIT run with like Lace Darius Dunn and some of those guys. And I was at the NFL owners meetings at some unbelievable place, maybe in California or wherever I was. And I was like, all the NFL people were making fun of me because I was so into the NIT. They're like, you want to go out tonight? I'm like, I got to go somewhere where they have the game. What game? The NIT. I've got to go watch the NIT. And all my NFL buddies were making fun of that. All right, I'm going to let you get running here in a minute because you got places to be. In Birmingham, I think might be an underrated city. So maybe I'm hoping you get you get a nice meal. I think that's one of the very underrated restaurant city, I might add. But
is.
who did you like? Who did you like NFL free agency? Did any of those under the radar moves? Cowboys basically just, N'Kobe Dean, all these people, we thought Christian Parker, but because of his hire, the Cowboys would just get everybody. And apparently the whole world wants to play for the Raiders, okay? Because Mark Davis is such a great owner, right? And they all want to go play for the Raiders. But because you are more
I
Eagles.
think I'll tell you right now. I think that this is like not a exciting answer. Maybe it is. I think the Ravens won. I think Max Crosby makes them a lot better. I really do. And I think that I guess they lost their center this morning to the Raiders and another who people are calling key components. But look, we're in a world where there's a reason why those guys get paid so much. I mean, we saw it in the Super Bowl. If you can rush the passer with 4 guys, you can kick your opponent's ass. I mean, that's a fact. And the more and more teams try to do that, and the premium is put on edge rushers, there's only a handful of, Max Crosby's out there and Micah Parsons out there. And I think that is a huge move. Because it's not like a lot of times, even Micah got hurt. I think the Packers would have gone further had he not gotten hurt. I think that position is such a moneymaker. I really do.
Well, Reed Blankenship goes to Houston on I don't know if you saw this as you were flying or whatever, but 3-year, $24 million deal. And the Cowboys are out like paying random Cardinals. And I think this Jalen Thompson's not a bad player. But the Cowboys and others are like, 3 years, $36 million. Texans get it done with Reed Blankenship for 3 years, $24 million. Pete, isn't this guy a good player? I feel like Reed Blankenship is really good.
He's a rock solid player, rock solid starter, contributor. Pretty cool, great stuff.
I think white guys have to sign lower contracts.
You're crazy.
I just thought the Cowboys. I don't know. I mean, do you have any thought on Rashawn Gary, who they got at? They got the edge rusher from the Packers who comes over to the Cowboys. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think it makes the Cowboys better. I really do, and it goes back to the same reason I was talking. You've got a defense who has struggled the past 2 years greatly, and you lost your best pass rusher. You need somebody who can get after the quarterback. I think there's no question about that. So it's a good move on them. Is it going to change, the entire center of gravity or move it for the Cowboys? No, but the Cowboys were. Look, I know they're disappointing, but they were pretty good last year. What about I can't believe the Dak thing with his. I mean, that's a huge story. With his fiance, them splitting up. As a guy, I'm getting married in June. That was a heartbreaker for me.
That's why. Yeah.
Why would you take? By the way, this co-bachelor and bachelorette parties.
No.
That is so silly. That's like one of those TV shows, like Love Island or Love Is Blind. They set that stuff up. They set that stuff up so it's combustible. You usually don't do it under your own willingness.
No.
God bless him, though.
No, yeah, I know, and I'm hoping your fiance doesn't get any ideas off that deal.
I know. I got to keep it quiet.
The initial thing was it was a prenup deal, but now they're saying it wasn't that. And I love how America.
I read the New York Post. It said that there was no allegations of absolute infidelity. It said that he had still been in communication with a lot of exes, and he put together like a burner account where he was still messaging women. So if that's the truth, honestly, that's the most unstable thing that Dak's ever done, which says a lot about him. He's been so steady as a guy. So it is really surprising.
I did think it led to some pretty good Twitter jokes, I will say, and maybe it was in poor taste, but the stuff about him getting, how it happened, when he got close to a ring or something, they knew they knew it would blow up.
Oh my God, that's pretty good. That's good.
I saw the joke and I thought I could pep it up. I thought I could
Yeah.
take the joke and write it a little different way, but I don't do that. I don't lift jokes like some comedians do out there. Pete, thank you for doing this.
You got it, Matt.
Get you another 4-piece or like an 8-piece
All
to
right.
go. And by the way, the pimento cheese chicken sandwich is my favorite when they're doing that at Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
They put some pimento on there, and that really takes it to a different level.
Great
Tell
call.
all my friends from FAU High and
I will.
and have a great call. All right, we'll be excited to see you.